Kia ora, I'm Chelsea Daniels, and this is The Front Page, a daily podcast presented by the New Zealand Herald. It's that time of year again where we debate whether New Zealanders should be allowed to let off fireworks. Fire and Emergency New Zealand is among those opposed, saying they know firsthand how dangerous fireworks can be. Last year was the worst year for fireworks-related fires since 2017, with 166 unwanted blazes. Fireworks sales are restricted to a 4-day period from November 2nd to 5th each year, but there are growing calls for that to be scrapped entirely. Later we'll chat to the SPCA's scientific officer, Dr. Alison Vaughan, on how to protect our animals from fireworks. But first on the front page, Fire and Emergency New Zealand Readiness and Recovery National Manager, Adrian Nacey, is with us. Adrian, FENZ has made a submission supporting several petitions calling for a ban on the public sale of fireworks. What prompted the agency to support this?
Yeah, so the use of fireworks to the public is at odds with, Fire and Emergency's principal objectives, which is to keep people, property and the environment safe from the risk of unwanted fire. So look, we've got a few different things we do to try and keep people safe from fire, and if putting further restrictions on the sale of fireworks to the general public would help that, then we would absolutely support it.
Yeah, how significant is the risk of fireworks-related fires been in recent years?
Yeah, so we get about 170 fireworks-related call-outs each year, and these range from small fires that are really easy for us to put out through to fires that burn for several days, tying up our resources.
Yeah, do you have any examples of situations that perhaps have gotten a bit out of hand?
We've got a couple. We had a significant fire down in Pegasus in North Canterbury on the 2nd of November in 2022. So that's the day that fireworks went on sale. Some fireworks were set off at the beach there and got into the pine plantation and got out of control. So that burnt for around 200 hectares of pine forest, and also some native regenerating forest that the local community had planted. We had to evacuate the community of Woodend in the middle of the night, putting people into evacuation centres, evacuating people from the campground, and also a horse stud. That fire took us about 5 days to put out. We had it out eventually by about the 7th of November when our crews could be released from that. And that one cost over $400,000 for us to deal with. And that's a big kind of what we call a campaign fire. We've also had a couple of pretty significant nights for fireworks incidents. We had a particularly windy and hot New Year's at the end of 2022. And in the middle of the night on New Year's Eve, at one point, we were responding to 15 fires set by fireworks at the same time. For communities, that's not where they want our crews. In the middle of the night, they want them there responding where they need them.
No, and I remember when I moved here from Australia, I saw the fireworks being sold on the side of the road around this time of the year. I was just like, how and why? Because obviously Australia is like just a tinderbox everywhere. So in my mind, I think it's insane that there is a public sale of fireworks. Why do you think there still is this in New Zealand? Do you guys just like blowing stuff up?
Look, that's not for me to really comment on, I guess, like why they're still being sold. We do see, like at the end of November, where we are, at the end of October, where we are at the moment, we've already had some really significant fires in the last couple of weeks, obviously not caused by fireworks, but it does show that conditions in parts of the country are ripe for these fires getting out of control and causing some really significant damage to communities, which is what we're here trying to stop.
Right. Do you think everyone who lets off fireworks does, in fact, check the conditions first?
I don't think so. That's not what we see. We see people setting them off when it's hot, dry and windy, which is what we're trying to avoid. We've got a really good website called unwanted.nz. You can go on there and you can get some fire safety tips, not just for fireworks, for any fires you're looking to light in the outdoors, but you can also check both the fire danger and the fire weather. And you can also look if there's any bans where you are at that time or coming up in the future. So that's checkitsalright.nz. We really are asking people to check the conditions if they are planning to set off fireworks.
Yeah, does Fens actually roster more people on nights, say like Guy Fawkes or New Year's or something like that for this exact reason?
Yeah, it's a good question. We maintain like a really constant state of readiness to respond to whatever our communities need us for any day and any hour of the year. So we don't have to roster people on over Guy Fawkes or New Year's. We just respond to what we're required to.
So where can't people set off fireworks? Presumably the beach, given what happened down in Pegasus.
Yeah, the beach. So you do need the landowner's permission to set off fireworks. So on your own property, if there's no restrictions in place, that's okay. Most of the councils around the country have firework bans in place for public areas like parks, beaches. Obviously, Department of Conservation areas are an absolute no-go for setting off fireworks, but you do need that landowner's permission, and certainly most councils have banned fireworks being set off in public places like parks.
Yeah, I guess celebrating Guy Fawkes with a barbecue and some firecrackers is a long-held tradition for many Kiwi families. What are some other ways perhaps we could celebrate if a ban does come into effect, do you think? Have you seen so many good ideas from overseas?
Yeah, there's some great public displays. I know here in Wellington, the Speedway puts on a pretty impressive fireworks display every year. And there's some really great fundraising displays put on as well. So maybe a good opportunity to get in and support your community that way. And leaving the fireworks in the hands of the professionals is always our preference.
Yeah, does Fens actually work with councils and stuff on those public fireworks displays to make sure it's all safe?
We do, yeah. There's a system that we go through to approve what we call pyrotechnic displays. So slightly different to your retail fireworks, a bit more big and exciting. So we work with the people that set those off.
And so what, like a Metallica concert or something? I assume that there's some pyrotechnics there. Do you consult them as well?
We do, yeah. We work with them and the health and safety regulator WorkSafe as well.
So obviously there's no ban in place yet, but what are the precautions for people that they can ensure that it's all safe and above board at home?
Yeah, so there's some good basic common sense steps you can take. So the first one is picking where you're going to set your fireworks off. So have them in a wide open space away from anything that can catch fire, dry grass, trees in your house. Have them pointing towards the sky. Don't point them towards other people or animals or anything that can set fire. Make sure you've got something to put them out or put fires out if they do occur. So have a garden hose or a bucket nearby. Keep your kids or your pets or your animals away. Be a good neighbour. Have a chat to your community if you're going to set off fireworks. Some people can find them distressing and they may find animals that they want to look after. So have a chat to your neighbours. And lastly, make sure they're out before you put them in the bin. So chuck them in a bucket of water, let them all cool down, and then dispose of them.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Adrian.
No worries. It's a pleasure, Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I think drone shows are safer than fireworks. They're more environmentally friendly, and they're also quieter. So your pets can watch, the vets can watch without PTSD. My partner, Michelle, her husband actually is a veteran, and she says that the benefits of drone shows are just amazing for our vets. Not to mention they're just way safer, as you're saying now. So I think that combined with the fact that you can get the stunning formations in the night sky is really why you're seeing the uptick in drone shows.
So there are alternatives, and as we heard, drone shows offer a safer, quieter option. And that's good news not just for people, but for animals too. To talk about the impact fireworks have on pets and wildlife, we're joined by SPCA's Scientific Officer, Dr. Alison Vaughan. So, Alison, it'll come as no surprise to anyone that animals aren't huge fans of fireworks, and I guess that would make it a very busy time of year for the SPCA, hey?
Yeah, well, we know that from surveys in New Zealand that up to 75% of cats and dogs are frightened of fireworks. And also other animals like horses can not only be frightened, but quite often seriously injured. When we think of the likes of that poor horse Remy last year, this can have very serious consequences. So we're definitely not fans of it. Typically, we don't see too many animals coming in necessarily because most people take them to their vets if they're injured. But we do know there are a lot more lost animals because often they panic and run off. And it can be really challenging for people to get their animals back home.
What happened to Remy the horse last year?
So last year, very sadly, Remy, a thoroughbred horse, became entangled in a fence as a result of panicking due to fireworks and had to be euthanized. And this is something that actually a New Zealand study found that 26% of horse owners reported their animals being injured due to panic caused by fireworks. So it's very serious consequences we're seeing.
Yeah. Do you have any data or examples, I suppose, in recent years that show how widespread these incidents are?
Yeah, so as I said, that was 26% of horse owners who said that their animals had been injured. As a result, in terms of animals that are that had collisions and things with fences, we're looking at like 35%. So this is a very common and very predictable, but also very avoidable cause of suffering for animals.
And it's not just the injuries, of course, as well. The noise alone can distress animals a lot, but that can make it pretty hard for us to comprehend what they're going through. I can only imagine, them looking up at the sky and thinking that the world's going to cave in on them because they're like, what is this sound? Is there any human experience that's comparable, I suppose, to what animals might experience?
Yeah, well, I suppose we do know some people are also impacted by fireworks and find it very traumatic. So I think we don't have to reach too far to try and understand what they might be going through. And a big part of the issue is we're often told, well, it's one night or it's, they're only on sale for 4 days. The reality is people can stockpile fireworks and let them off any day or night. And that makes it so hard for pet owners to keep their animals safe.
How can pet owners keep their animals safe?
That is such a great question. It's really important that we know while people can let them off at any time, most people will be letting them off after dark. So make sure you're exercising your dogs earlier than usual, getting them inside the house so they're safe and secured. Same with your cats. Make sure if they are allowed to go outside and roam that they are safely contained before the fireworks start. And then there's things you can do in the home to muffle the noise. For example, last year we collaborated for the first time with NZ Concert to put on a concert for animals with soothing music for pets and their owners. And we'll be doing that again this year. And that can help just muffle some of the noises, but also help soothe.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I'm going to chuck it on for my cat, April. I mean, even the thunder and lightning the other week in Auckland got her going. So giving them that, so that you just kind of need to give them, because you wish that you can explain what's happening to them, right? She's trying to protect me from the thunder and the loud noises. And you just kind of want to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. So giving them kind of another avenue to look at or listen to is a good idea.
Yeah, and making sure you're home. I mean, I would say that's one of the most important things, to make sure they don't hurt themselves due to panic. We know a lot of New Zealanders really care about this issue. You'll be aware of the petitions currently before the Select Committee. We get petitions for fireworks very often, sadly, without concrete action, but this has been the highest number of signatures we've seen yet. And we'll actually be travelling down to Wellington next week to present to the Select Committee to try and get an end to this madness. We can't keep doing this.
Why do you think they're still for sale in New Zealand?
That is a very good question. So to be clear, New Zealand doesn't have an issue with notified public displays, so where the communities can come together and enjoy fireworks. What we have a problem with is the retail sales. So where the private sale and use of these fireworks, where anyone can decide to let off explosives at any time of day or night on any given day. And that's a real issue. So that's what we want to see addressed.
What should someone do because it's not only domesticated pets and animals. Hey, you've got the horses, obviously, we've spoken about, but also wildlife. What should someone do if you see an injured bird or wildlife?
Yeah, and we often see and empathise with our own animals in the home, and it can be really distressing. But I'm from the UK, where Guy Fawkes is in the autumn. Here in New Zealand, it is in the spring when our vulnerable native birds are breeding. Some of them are sitting on the nest, some of them have young. And there's really good scientific evidence to show that fireworks can actually cause big disruptions to the behaviour of these birds, can also cause nest abandonment, disrupt feeding. And sadly, there's not a lot we can do to protect them while we have our current rules in place.
Would tighter regulation rather than a full ban be acceptable, or would it even work?
I suppose what we're looking for is something that's a practical compromise, which is allowing notified licensed public displays. We think that allows people the fun and enjoyment whilst also minimizing the harms, rather than, we're not pushing for an outright ban on all fireworks. Although we have seen several councils adopt alternatives, so drone shows, laser shows, which can be really a great alternative without the negative side effects.
And so obviously this isn't a new conversation. We have this conversation essentially every year around this time when they're out for public sale. What do you think needs to happen for this to go ahead, or for the public sale ban to go ahead? Or do you think we're getting quite close?
Well, it's interesting because Minister Greg Fleming, who received the petition, he actually said that perhaps we were approaching a tipping point. But I have to say, the scientific evidence on the harms are incredibly robust. It's not just animal welfare. We've also got police and fire and emergency also pushing for a ban. We know that actually there are great alternatives that would allow people the same enjoyment. We know that this is the most people that have ever signed petitions calling for a ban. I'd kind of ask, what more can it possibly take before we finally see some proper action on this? Because the status quo cannot be allowed to continue.
Thanks so much for joining us, Alison.
That's quite all right. Great to chat. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of The Front Page. You can read more about today's stories and extensive news coverage at nzherald.co.nz. The Front Page is produced by Jane Yee and Richard Martin, who is also our editor. I'm Chelsea Daniels. Subscribe to The Front Page on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts, and tune in tomorrow for another look behind the headlines.